About this throne speech. I think after reading the throne speech and listening to the debate, I think we can sum up the Liberal Party with a syllogism. Syllogism that goes something like this. The more one works, the richer he is. The more difficulties and obstacles one overcomes, the more one works. Therefore, the more obstacles he overcomes, the richer he must be. And that's what this government is all about, is obstacles and obstructions and an interventionist government. Speaker, this government wanted everyone to acknowledge a few things when they gave this speech from the throne. But there's one thing that they didn't acknowledge. Their 9 years of dismal, complete, and unmitigated economic failure. Let me give this House a number. 1.84%. That's how much the economy grew per person after adjusting for inflation. That's not 1.84% per year. That's over the Liberal 9-year regime. 1.84% under the McGuinty-Wynne Government. That's the Dalton legacy that our supposedly new Premier wants to build on. Here's another number. $258 billion. That's how much debt Ontario is this budget year. That's over $20,000 for every man, woman, and child in Ontario. The moment a child is born in a hospital in Smith Falls, in Windsor, or in Kenora or Toronto, that child is already in debt to $20,000. Here's another number, 6.1%. That's the annual rate of spending growth under the McGuinty-Wynne Liberal government. That's twice the rate of population growth and inflation combined. 2009. That's the first year Ontario ever received equalization payments. That's the first time in the history of Confederation that the bedrock of Confederation, Ontario, became the laggard of Confederation. 6 years. That's how long Ontario's unemployment rate has been above the national average. Today, over 600,000 people awoke in Ontario without a job. That's equivalent to half the population, entire population of Ottawa. And in January, Ontario only added to this disappointing record, losing another 48,000 more private sector jobs. Here's another number, 5,591. That's how many people left Ontario for other provinces. And in fact, all of my 3 sons have gone to Western Canada to seek better economic opportunities than they could find in either urban or rural Ontario. Simply put, Ontario is no longer the economic engine of Confederation. This is the legacy of Dalton. It's a legacy that Premier Wynne wants to build on. It's a legacy of economic failure, debt, deficit, equalization payments, unemployment, and immigration. But you know, it shouldn't be too hard to build on this legacy. It's a simple way. Repudiate it. That's how you build on that legacy. Simply repudiate it. That's my recommendation to the Premier. If you want to build on this legacy, repudiate it. And that's why the Ontario PC Party has put forward proposals to do just that. The Premier says that she wants to put unemployed people back to work. And we here on the PC Party have put those ideas forward to get Ontario back on track, to become a job creator in Canada once again. The Liberal government seems intent on ruining good-paying jobs in the construction industry. That's why they introduced Bill 119, which forces independent contractors and operators who are unlikely to ever file a WSIB claim and who already have around-the-clock insurance to pony up to WSIB. The other day, there was a contractor here in the legislature, a young contractor who had his first child. He pays under $50 a month for private insurance. That's better coverage than the WSIB. But now he's forced to pay $5,000 a year in addition for inferior WSIB insurance. Instead of paying that $5,000 to WSIB, he could be putting it into a savings account for his daughter and for his family, and by the time she needs to go to university, that would be near $150,000. But he won't have that. WSIB will have it. Others have told me that they are already feeling the heat from the underground competition, that they're being forced to compete with illegal competitors. Bill 119 and mandatory WSIB insurance for them will only drive more underground or out of business. It's hard to see how this policy of the Liberal government is designed to put people back to work. We can look at the Liberal Labour policies. What place would you hope Ontario's labour legislation would have more in common with? Any one of 47 European democracies, or the sole and last remaining European dictatorship? Regrettably, Ontario wouldn't be on the side of every European democracy, but on the side of Belarus. Instead of taking the side of the fundamental human right of freedom of association and letting people bargain with their employers independently, which has proven throughout the developed world to create jobs and economic growth, the Liberals are taking the side of the public sector union bosses to whom they are practically married to. Why put people back to work when there's union bosses that they can woo? Or we can go through their absolutely absurd apprenticeship ratios. Pretty much every province in Ontario, in Canada, and every American state uses a ratio of 1:1 for journeymen. Ontario uses 3:1. Instead of taking our proposals and ceasing to be the odd man out and creating thousands of high-paying jobs, the Liberals would rather keep a 3:1 ratio. We would rather put Ontario back to work. Or, as the Liberals do, they'd rather please their union supporters. This government has a different answer for the 600,000 people out of work that those people would hope for. But that's what we've grown to expect from the Liberal government. No respect at all. A lot of talk, very little or no substance. We know that we can do better. We know that Ontario can do better. We also know that this government can do better. But to do better, they have to start on the right track, and that is repudiate Dalton's legacy and adopting policies that work. That's what I got out of this throne speech. And unlike the NDP, who talk about how negative this throne speech is, we walk the talk here. We will not be supporting this throne speech. Thank you.
Member from Leeds Grenville.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to join in this debate, and I'm pleased to be sharing with my neighbour, the member for Lanark, Frontenac, Lennox and Addington. I think this gives us a good opportunity to put our comments on the record, and I appreciate a number of points that he's made. I took last week's constituency week. It was a busy schedule, and I had a number of constituency meetings. I talked to